As you can see, the title is Waste Wood Sculpture, and over the last couple of years or so, I've been able to get all this wood, pieces of wood, all pre-cut, stuff like that. It comes from a company here in Olympia, and I've been burning it in the fireplace and just doing all kinds of bizarre stuff with it. And I had that on the floor for a little while, and noticed it kind of really looks nice. It's nice. It's almost all cedar, and started making some patterns with it and that sort of thing. As you can see, there's a couple pieces that are from the current project that I did a project for this particular presentation. So these are a couple of pieces from that. And it just kind of helps just lay the pieces out there. Sometimes they kind of take the form of their own. I don't really do too much to them other than wet them down just so I can see kind of how it's going to look when it's finished, how the different cedar pieces are. And you can see these over here. I have some pencil marks on there, and that's just from whatever they were doing with the wood before that. And so just kind of sand it down lightly, get the pieces together on the ground, start drilling the holes. They're all assembled using wood dowels. There's no metal pieces or anything like that. So essentially, they're, in addition to being recycled wood products, they're also biodegradable and able to be recycled again. And so this is me cutting the dowels. Most of the time, what I did is just cut the dowels to length, shave a little side off of there so it has room for the glue to bind, and then just sharpen them up, and then just use the hammer to tap them in place. But the key point is just with the dowels is make sure you get good end on there because they do tend to split. Not sure how we're pounding. It's got to pound one in there. And just kind of pound it in just like you would using the philosophy of pounding nails. You just want to kind of make it a binding situation in there so that when you're putting the pieces in there, the dowels can crisscross. Sometimes you'll even drill through one dowel to the other. You can see I'm putting a point on there. And these, it's not pounding holes through the wood. It's just giving spots actually for the glue to bind to the dowel inside. It takes a long time for the glue to dry because it's not really exposed to air. So you want to give it an opportunity to absorb into the wood itself. Always make sure you have something that you're working on, a soft piece of wood or a common type piece of wood, because the concrete will tear the sides up on there. And as you can see, I've got some dowels already through on one side. Now I'm just kind of putting them through the other side to, again, like I said, bind them together with contradicting, I guess is the best way of putting it. And again, pounding it in there. I use a rubber mallet because it's easier on the dowel. It's fairly soft rubber. Just got to be careful you don't put your face over when you're pounding them because it'll knock you right back in the face. But it keeps the dowel ends from splitting, and it's got enough weight that puts it in there pretty good. Coping saw, then trim the dowel ends off. I don't really trim them off. Not a stickler for being really, really close. I just want to get them cut off and get them cut off smoothly. When I come in afterwards with sandpaper on there a little bit, it'll break it down. You can see this is actually the most difficult portion of it because you really want to make sure that you have your lines straight. I use a level because it's got enough weight that I can kind of hold it in place as I'm putting it together. Once you got the dowels drilled, you're pretty much stuck with however your straightness is. I just kind of built a temporary jig here. The pieces on the bottom, these two pieces right there, they're not part of the piece. They're just there to hold it in place. Makes it a little bit easier on something that's got a ability to rock back and forth. Make sure you get it drilled in there. That's kind of how it looks. One of the pieces look, and you can still see the pencil lines in there, even though it's been sanded down. I don't want to take too much of it down, and I don't want to change the wood itself that much. I'm really just trying to be emphasizing that this is recycled wood that's been recovered from wherever it would go, a landfill or something like that. Make sure you have a piece of wood underneath it, because once you get started on there, it does seem like it just tends to get, the face tends to get scratched up. What I'm doing here is actually digging out the back portion, so it has something in place to hang a hook, so it hangs on the wall. This is actually one of the smaller pieces I've done. And again, I'm drilling on, and it can take on a 3D kind of presentation too, because you can pile more and more wood on there. This one here is got 2 layers on there, and then of course the pieces are on the sides there. But again, you want to make sure you have something underneath there. Either you don't want to drill through the wood into the concrete, whatever your floor surface is, and then just start drawing out the holes. Again, when you're pounding your dowels, at least your first couple of dowels, and then you're going to work to make sure that it doesn't jiggle around too much, because there's really no glue between here, the big pieces of wood there. It's just the dowels holding it together. Afterwards, once you get the dowels in place, then you can come back in a little bit and apply a little bit more of the fastening glue. Again, this thing here, for the most part, it's fairly safe to do. Just you do have to be careful with the drill. A powerful drill will send that piece of wood spinning around if you don't have it either attached to a surface or just using your body weight to hold it down. Once the holes are drilled and once I have the first dowel in, then I can just drop a little bit of glue in there, and I will put glue on the dowel itself, and you will get some glue that comes back out. But you want to make sure that as the dowel goes in there, it's really covered with glue, and it's forcing glue all the way down into the bottom. Again, like I talked about earlier about the point on there, gives another way for the glue to attach effectively to the wood. You can see on this one here, I did break a bit of the dowel off, pounding it in. It just happens. And that's the finished product hanging on the wall. And I don't know how many more slides I have to go on there, but that's
that might be the last one.
And I brought in this piece finished, and then another one that I had done. I've done about 6 or 7 of these total altogether, and that's it. And this is the finished one. I'm going to pass around. It's pretty.
So beautiful.
And it's lightweight. It's cedar.
About how long did the one you did take?
Probably in hours. Probably not more than 2.5 to 3 hours or so. It's one of those processes that you can only do one thing at a time, and then you have to wait for it to dry, because if you try to push it too fast, you're working on it and the glue hasn't attached the other pieces together, and it will fall apart on you. Yes, ma'am.
Is this an aromatic cedar? Does it smell nice when you're working on it?
Yeah, it does have some smell to it. Cedar smell. Like I said, it's used for home construction parts, and this is the waste product from that. I don't think that whoever the purchaser is originally, that how it smells has anything to do with it. Just some of the pieces are gorgeous pieces of cedar. Some are just very plain cedar. I try to do the best I can to kind of pick out the ones that work the best, for the design overall. I just, like I said, I get a big box of them, set on the floor, and just start matching, looking at what, and let it tell me what it wants to become. The other piece there I did is kind of like a self-portrait. And the round pieces, I have no idea what they're used for or what they're the waste products from, but I got tons of them. And, it's another piece I'm thinking about working on is kind of a more abstract one, and the name of that one will be, There Will Be Splinters. Kind of going into that movie, There Will Be Blood type of thing, because I don't see any way of sanding those things smooth, just because those the ones that are on that, there are probably out of the several hundred of them that I have, the 2 smoothest ones. And so the rest of them are pretty nasty as far as points and stuff. Yeah.
You showed us how you need to do something about not, you put them on something because the concrete would grind on them. Why do you want to be down on the floor? What do you want to do?
I guess I can't. Just set it there.
For your back or whatever.
Videotape.
Yeah, I would like to, but it's just easier. It's faster, I think. And this is messy. It's the glue gets on a lot of stuff, and to the concrete when the glue dries, just take your finger and flip it off there. I don't want it to, to actually accidentally glue down to a table or something. But every time all these that I've done, this is actually one of the smallest ones I've done. The largest one I've done stands this far off the floor. And it's just easier on concrete because if you do accidentally glue it down to the concrete floor, you just take the rubber mallet and tap it a couple times and it'll pop right off. And I want to show, I don't know if everybody saw the back of these, it's really quite easy to do. Just wood chisel out the back, just make sure it's flat, and then has a slight indentation on there on this one here, and that was a little bit bigger, but same basic thing. And you know, they're not that heavy. The big one is heavy. It probably weighs 35 pounds or so, but you know, considering its size, they're quite lightweight.
Oh, it is so funny.
It is so big. Yeah, the hair and you know, the mustache. The mustache isn't quite as big today as it usually is, but you know, it kind of rivals us a little bit. Anybody else? Thank you very much.
All right.